down because we are diving headfirst into the Stream Deck universe. Ever ask yourself, what is this gadget all about? Well, get ready to be enlightened. We are breaking down the Stream Deck basics so you can wield this digital wizardry like a pro and make your content creation and streaming adventures nothing short of legendary.
Hello, my friends. Welcome to Content Creators Connect. Here we are, all about encouraging the 3Cs, where we are connecting with others via video, content development that builds your personal brand, and creators sharing our experiences despite our distance.
And the C3 team member leading this evening's conversation is Dori, known to everyone as DSpence, and is using her superpowers to install confidence in those around her and helping others become experts in their own adventures.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate that. And I have a question for you two gentlemen this evening. Do you have any experience at all with using a Stream Deck or even, spoiler alert, the Stream Deck app in your workflow? Manny, what about you?
So I'm embarrassed because yes, I even have a Stream Deck. I know I should be using a Stream Deck. My wife is looking for the Stream Deck as we speak so I can use it for our video tonight. And that's how much I'm using it. But here's the thing, why I'm looking so forward to this content. Because the Stream Deck, it's obviously the main purpose why I made that investment was to make my production, my show flow go so much smoother. So I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm literally wasting time looking for things. So I'm truly excited about tonight's training. Kevin, what about you? Do you have a Stream Deck? I'm guessing you're super organized, unlike me.
Actually, no, I do not have a Stream Deck. I have none whatsoever. But there's a caveat to that because vMix has a feature built within it to actually have shortcuts on a web page. So therefore, I'm reusing something that I already have, thus being free, using an iPad to be able to press those buttons to change the scenes in my production. But unfortunately, that's only when I'm in vMix. I don't have any capability to touch anything else in my studio, whereas the Stream Deck has so much more and is able to do stuff like that. So I am definitely looking forward to what Dori has to share with us tonight. And if this is the type of content that you'd like to see more of, please consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell as well, so you know when we go live, so that you know when we're sharing some awesome content with you.
Well, I'm really excited. Kevin, you almost gave a spoiler. You almost gave a spoiler. I might as well spoil it right now. So, a Stream Deck, in essence, people might be like, I don't even know what the heck this gadget is. I've seen pictures of it everywhere. Well, in essence, in its most basic form, a Stream Deck is a programmable macro pad. And if you don't know what a macro is, basically it's a situation where you can program your computer, your device to do a task or a series of tasks with a keybind, a keystroke, a hotkey on your keyboard. The Stream Deck does all that and more. One of the pros to using a Stream Deck is the fact that it allows the use of visual buttons to represent those keybinds and other tasks or programmable actions. So, Carmen, yes, in fact, they are fire. Yes, they are. They are fire. And Kevin, one of your followers has a Stream Deck Mini, and that actually brings me to one of the things that I'm going to cover tonight, which is all the different types of Stream Decks that exist. We're going to touch on that very briefly this evening. But the thing is that for people who struggle to memorize hotkeys and stuff like that, the Stream Deck makes it beautiful because it's all visual based. And so just a quick overview of some of the things that I use my Stream Deck for. And don't worry, I'm going to have it up on screen, giving a short demo very, very soon. So this is a quick list. I use it to open apps. I use it to access very specific websites. I create what's called multi-action keys. I have a multi-action key that gets my entire studio ready to stream. I use it for camera switching, which is probably the most widespread use of the device. I use it for scene switching inside my Ecamm Live, overlays, putting on-screen comments. Like, for example, that comment that we just put up from Carmen. I have a button on my keyboard, on my Stream Deck, that I push it, and it allows the current comment to display on screen. You can add sound effects. You can switch between profiles. Profiles are really important. I'm going to talk about those tonight. You can use it to control your editing software, whether that be Photoshop or Final Cut, Adobe Premiere for video editing. And here's something really cool. You know how when you are typing on your phone, you're sending a message, you can create custom text. So you can create keyboard shortcuts that if you type in a series of letters, it will actually produce a string of text that you can send someone. You can do an automated text response with your Stream Deck as well. And the cool thing, and I am going to demonstrate this, is that when you make a change to a profile key in the software, it takes effect immediately on the Stream Deck itself, which is awesome if you are trying to do something on the fly. And so with that, I'm going to jump over to a demonstration video that I have put together. Now, the reason I did this is because I am using my Stream Deck to run tonight's show. And so I can't demonstrate doing something from scratch without fear of accidentally wiping our entire show flow from my profile. So
we appreciate that. Thank you.
I knew you would. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and walk through. Now, the website for this is elgato.com. And what that does is it brings you to this home screen right here. And then when you click products up at the top, you simply would go to Stream Deck. And inside there, you're going to see that there are all these different types of Stream Decks available to you right now, hardware-wise. You can get a Stream Deck Pedal, a Mini, which is a 6-button, a Stream Deck Standard, I guess, if you will, which is a 15-button, and then the extra large supersize guy, which has 32 buttons on it, which is the one that I currently own. There is a Stream Deck Plus, which has buttons as well as knobs, which are helpful if you want to fine-tune like the editing process for things. But I also mentioned that there are apps. You can put the Stream Deck mobile app on your phone or iPad, Android, and iOS. But if you want to take a look at some of the software behind the scenes, you're going to look at the SDK area. And that area right there, this is the Stream Deck that I own. Just wanted to show you guys the product page. And then when you go to the SDK button, this area has all sorts of important informational documentation for you. It indicates how to set up the software. This is a really essential place to visit if you are literally a beginner with the Stream Deck. They have an awesome support page as well. And then eventually you're going to find yourself on the downloads page. You're going to select your product, and then you're simply going to download the software. Now, really quick, I just want to address a couple things. I see a lot of questions coming through the chat. We will most certainly get to those at the tail end. But this particular page here that I'm on, a lot of people believe that just because they're asking for an email, so if you have already downloaded this app, or you have already somehow created an account with Elgato through a purchase or download of another piece of software, you can hit continue with download. You don't have to put your email address in again. It is required, however, if it is your first interaction with Elgato. I just wanted to pause and let you guys know that. So from here, you're going to do the install. And it's as simple as following the prompts on the screen, which I absolutely love about Elgato's products. It runs the script, tells you the installation was successful, and now you are looking at a blank canvas for your software integration. So this is what the software screen looks like. And a couple things that you're going to notice. You're going to see some blank buttons on the left. And then on the right-hand side, you're going to see when I turn the video back on, I'm kind of scrolling up and down. There are a lot of pre-installed plugins that are already available in the app by default. Some of them that you'll see are things to control the Stream Deck. Streamlabs is built in. There is a soundboard for adding sound effects. The navigation area in particular is for how to jump to different things on your Stream Deck itself. And there's a lot of really useful things in here, even before you get to the Elgato store, which we're going to look at in just a second as well. So system settings, controlling websites, Twitter, OBS is built in, Twitch Studio. There's a lot of things that come by default with the Stream Deck. So the first area here is you go to the settings cog. You want to go ahead and check for updates every now and again. You can rename your device. There's all sorts of things you can tailor to yourself in here. You can add accounts to the system and set up profiles, which we will demonstrate momentarily. But the next big thing, and this is where you can really get lost and spend a lot of time, and that is in the Stream Deck store. Couple things to note here. When you first go to the store, there's a Discover page. That's what loads for you by default. And this is where Elgato tends to put most of their new and improved kind of things, if you will. And the other thing to point out is over on the left-hand side, there's a bunch of different tabs that you can navigate to at will whenever you need to get to something very specific. So the Discover page is what loads by default. And then, of course, you get what you came for, which is the plugins. And that's where you'll be able to really integrate into multiple programs that you want to run. For example, for me to run a Stream Deck with my Ecamm Live software, it requires me to go into the plugins area, find the Ecamm Live software, and hit install. So as you can see here, you can install for Discord, the Elgato Control Center. I noticed Carmen mentioned that you can use it to control your light setup. Absolutely. And it's just as simple as clicking a button. Now, I want to just pause for a second there. There was something that came up when I installed my Ecamm. If you notice, there is another button that came up that asked me whether or not I wanted to install the profiles associated with this program. what that tends to do is some developers will automatically generate a layout of the keys and the functions that are used most often with their software. And Ecamm is one of the things that does that for you. And so it will actually install a ready-made, out-of-the-box, rock and roll profile for you. And to note while I'm on pause here, if you want to uninstall, like for example, I am not a Twitch streamer, so I have no need whatsoever to have Twitch as part of my Stream Deck. It's as simple as finding Twitch in the list and hitting uninstall instead of install, and it will remove it from your Stream Deck for you. So again, you kind of scroll through, find exactly what you need. There's a search feature up at the top that you can utilize as well if you don't want to scroll, as well as categories on the left-hand side. So really, Elgato has done a really nice job here of organizing this in a user-friendly format. You then move through some different things here. You can, in the icons area, the icons are what the keys themselves look like on your Stream Deck. Elgato has some that you can use by default, but if you like to be a little, let's call it extra, like you guys know I like to be, you can create your own icons, or you can find third-party icon packs out there available for you. And it's as simple as just opening them up and they will install onto your Stream Deck. You can also search for music in here. And I do believe that this music is all copyright free. There are no reported issues that I am aware of using music on your stream that Elgato provides through this service. And lastly, sound effects that you can access, those things that you just can't live without in your stream, like a little clapping, a little tambourine. So once that happens, it's going to automatically, you're going to close out of the store and you're now going to see your configuration software again. And this is what I was talking about with that pre-installed profile. In this case, I don't have any work to do. My Ecamm profile, and if you guys notice, there was a drop-down menu right up here, and this is the Ecamm Live profile. It allows me to run scenes, move to the next scene, switch camera sources, mute and unmute my microphone, see the number of viewers. So I just want to pause for a second and let you guys know there is a misconception out there that people think that the Stream Deck is only for people who live stream. And I want to tell you that yes, there are a lot of things built into the Stream Deck that help you during an actual live performance like we're doing right now. But there's a lot of useful utility things built in as well. At one point, I'm going to show you that you can add buttons for YouTube analytics and some other things, but I felt it important enough to pause right here for a second and let you know that you might be watching this and say, well, I'm a blogger. I'm just a content creator. I don't live stream. So the Stream Deck isn't for me. That's not true. Maybe you don't create content at all. Maybe you're simply just an editor for someone else. You can use it to do photo editing, video editing. There's all sorts of uses behind the scenes for this device and not just pushing buttons while you're on camera. So let me bounce on back for a second. So that's what a pre-existing profile looks like. Now I'm kind of running you through the process of setting up a profile from scratch. In this case, I want to put a shortcut to a particular website. So I drag it out, I put the title of the website, paste the URL, and then here I can find an icon. Now I did a search for Facebook, nothing came up by default. So I scrolled down to the very bottom, and down there you can see some of the additional icon packs that I have preloaded. So I really couldn't find one that spoke to me like the flying unicorn did for Facebook. And so I chose the flying unicorn, and that is also an animated button. So while that profile is active on my Stream Deck, that button is actually moving on the screen. Here's one where you can put YouTube analytics. You can select your YouTube account, and you can do things like viewer count, subscriber count, things that are very visual that you want to just glance at in the heat of a moment. So in this particular point of the video, I am going to show you something about profiles. Now, I want to just give you a piece of advice that I did not use when I first started using my Stream Deck, and that is set up profiles. It is so much easier to utilize multiple profiles and set up a button for each than it is to just add a myriad of things and keep swapping out buttons. And I'll tell you, I learned the hard way. I had a profile for our C3 streams, and as you all know, we rotate each week who is the main presenter. Well, each week I was working a lot harder and not smarter, which is the opposite of what I want to do. And I would constantly be switching out the buttons. So what I finally did was I created a profile for Kevin, a profile for Manny, and a profile for myself. And now what happens is the only buttons that appear on my Stream Deck are the ones associated with their scenes in my broadcast software, my Ecamm Live software. And another point that you can do is, if you notice in the video here, I've just used this bottom right corner. This is an area that's going to allow me to switch to other profiles. Now, I like to use the same location on every profile because of muscle memory. I know that that bottom right corner is going to take me to a new profile or the home screen. So you could set it up as a home button, very much like the desktop on your computer. And your home profile could be access buttons to all of the other multiple profiles that you use. So I have a profile for Adobe Premiere. I have a profile for my other streams. I have 3 profiles now for the C3 team. So you could set that up as a home button. It'll take you back to your home page, where then you can choose whatever profile you want to go to next. And so it's just going to allow you the opportunity to choose either the next profile or a specific profile that you have created. And I really, really love that. And if you take nothing else away and you are already a Stream Deck user, create a home button, set up those multiple profiles. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Now, this part of the video actually takes you to what's called the key creator on the Elgato website. And what that does is it allows you to create your own Stream Deck keys. And I'm going to show you, once we get into the software, how to get access to that again. But it's on the key itself. You hit the plus sign and you choose to create an icon. And this is the process that you follow. You can choose a picture. You can choose to add text if you wish. You can choose no text whatsoever if you already have text associated with the key. The beautiful part of this is that you don't need any Photoshop skills whatsoever. You do not need any experience in any complicated photo editing software. The other thing I want to point out is that on the left-hand side, do you guys see where it says layers? You can add multiple layers. You can move layers around if you want to reorganize. You can delete layers if you accidentally add something that you don't want to keep on the key. All of that is right there, simply by hovering over a layer and then hitting the trash can. The red X is how it's demonstrated in that software. And so once you do that, and you get the key exactly the way you want it, you hit the Save Key button, and it will save as a PNG image to your computer. And then once it's on your machine, when you go back to the profile, you just select Choose Key, and you search for it on the computer, and it will create the button. You will see an image of it in the software on screen, and then when you immediately look at your Stream Deck, you will see this picture that you've created on the Stream Deck button itself. And there you have Set from File. You find it in your downloads. And there it is. And if you didn't want that other text there, you could simply delete that, and the pre-existing text would disappear. So there are a lot of really good uses for this. The last thing that we're going to touch on is, and Carmen mentioned it early on, Elgato is amazing. It's intuitive and seamless when communicating with its own devices. So there is an area in the Stream Deck software called the Control Center. And basically what that allows you to do is control your Elgato lights and some of your other hardware that you have with them. And so I have all of my lights in my studio are Elgato lights. And with a push of a button, I can turn them on, I can turn them off, I can access a folder that allows me to change the intensity of them, the color temperature of them, all of that done with visual buttons on the Stream Deck, instead of having to open up multiple software on your computer to make this all happen. And then the last thing that is on your screen, software-specific controls. And what I mean by that is if you use a very particular piece of software, for example, OBS Studios, Streamlabs, vMix, Ecamm Live, when you load those plugins for that software, you get access to all of the actions and all of the utilities that live within that. And so on my screen right now, you can see that I have added an icon that says Play Sound. And what that does is it is connected directly to my Ecamm Live software. And if I have a particular sound effect, like for example, the cheers, the hooray, whatever, I can add a button to my Stream Deck that when I push it, it will play that sound effect, play it through its entirety, and then it will end. It won't loop. You don't have to worry about anything accidentally coming on by, inadvertently clicking something with your mouse key on your screen by accident or things like that. So that is the extent of what it looks like from start to finish, going to the Elgato site, getting the software, installing it, and kicking things off by getting your own profiles set up right out of the gate. Now, what I would like to do at this point is introduce you to the C3 DSpence profile on my actual Stream Deck. And so some of the things that I just want to point out here to you guys is, as I mentioned, muscle memory is really important for me. So there's certain places that I put keys because it makes sense for me when I'm moving from either left to right or top to bottom. And so if you guys notice right here in this first column, these are all of the things that happen early on in the show. So after our countdown timer, which is a button over here right next to my live button, after the countdown timer plays, it's set up to automatically go to the presenter's face, which was me. After that, I control the flow of the show by pushing buttons. So if I wanted to, I could very easily switch to pushing the transition from hook to the 3 heads. And that happens automatically after I push the button. And then when we want to move to another segment of the show, that is, of course, another button on my Stream Deck to go to Creators, Content, Connect. This is our subscribe button. These are the various scenes that I have set up inside the system. I can mute myself, so right now I'm talking and you can hear. You heard none of that, I assume. And so, and there's a screen over here that I have just to check my own cameras pre-show. So this sits up here all by itself. Now, one of the things that I want to show you guys is I want to make a change to this Stream Deck, and I want you to see how fast that change happens. And so I'm going to go into the control center here, and I'm going to add a button. Now, I want you guys to watch the top center row of my Stream Deck, and I'm going to let go of the button, and it's just that fast. And so what that is that's a control key that allows me to check the battery level of a particular device in my Elgato system. Now that battery is showing red because, well, my devices are not running on battery. They are currently plugged in. And then if I don't want that key, I simply hit the delete button, and in the blink of an eye, it goes away. So in conclusion, this is what I want to stress. Do you need one? No, you don't need anything other than food and water to survive. Would I ever go back to not using one in my workflow? No way, no how. You cannot force me to stop using this thing. Some of the benefits, and I've already mentioned some of these. You don't have to memorize your keybinds. You don't have to memorize which buttons on a keyboard and then have to take your eyes away from your audience to search for things down here. The use of multiple profiles and not having so many software programs running on your computer while you are streaming is always a benefit. When you get involved in editing, you will absolutely pass out and fall out of your chair when you realize how much faster your editing process goes when you put a profile like that on your Stream Deck. All those shortcut keys that you're used to pushing on your keyboard, you just put that Stream Deck next to you and they're right there at your fingertips. You don't have to hunt for them. I use Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro. It is really hard for me sometimes to remember which program I'm in and which keyboard shortcuts I need for each one. I just switch to the proper profile on my Stream Deck, I hit the button, and it does the work for me. And lastly, which I am not getting to tonight, because this I promise to be just the basics. Hint, hint, I will be doing a follow-up where we will be looking at more advanced uses of this Stream Deck, more of a hands-on type of situation. Manny, I expect yours to be hooked up by then.
I love it.
You can do multi-action steps. So with one push of a button, my entire studio powers up and gets ready for me to stream. With another push of a button, everything powers down, all of my lights up there, behind me, in front of me, everything puts itself to sleep with the push of a button. Can you use it for more than just camera switching? Obviously, yes. And lastly, can you benefit from this as a time saver, even if you are not a streamer? And I hope that I've given you enough ideas to make you curious and make you realize that the answer to that is yes as well. And now, gentlemen, with all of that overview under our belts, I want to know, is this something that you could see yourself implementing in your setup? If yes, then what kind of use case do you see yourself gravitating toward? Manny, I'm going to slide on over to you first.
110% yes. Thank you so much for this training. This was a serious like reminder of how much time I'm actually wasting. Because one of the things that I do so much is live streaming. And one of the things I do is looking for things on the computer that I have to get ready to press or going for the next one. And it's like, if I just had that nice square, boom. And you reminded me of all those times of the training I went through. Put myself through the training of learning it. Honestly, I probably got to start all over again, but that's okay because I'm going to get a lot of that time back in the long run. You made it so clear, especially when you were breaking it down how you use, you have Kevin profile, Manny profile, Dori profile, and then you went through yours, and that made it so much easier. And one of the things that you hit on a couple of things that really hit me, not just about pushing buttons. That resonated simply because, yeah, I did. I was like, okay, yeah, pushing a button, new scene, pushing the button, next scene. But it's about the time that's saving. I'm getting back to that time thing. And one of the other things, and I'll stop right here, no Photoshop skills whatsoever. And especially as someone graphic design is not my strength, anything that goes around, and you reminded me again all the times of doing those customized buttons. And it was like, oh yeah. So thank you so much. You definitely inspired me to get back on this horse. And the main reason why I purchased that thing in the first place was to save time with all my clients. You are making that like, thank you. Kevin, what about you? What do you think? Like is you already using it? So you're probably like, yep.
No, Dori definitely did remind me about just it's automatic and mind. Uh, what was the term that you used? Like you're just pressing buttons because you know exactly where they are.
Muscle memory. Yep.
Muscle memory. That was it. The way I have mine configured on my iPad is actually color coded based. So I have the writing, but all the reds mean, okay, those are things to stop, or like stop audio, stop the video, stop the stream sort of thing. And then green is go. So doing it in a color coded manner like that, but you also have a whole spectrum of RGB colors you can use as a background for those buttons as well. But I like the idea of sort of organizing your whole deck. So that first row is all the things that you're going to use for like the content or connect creators. That's already all programmed in, and you just need to press that, and it automatically moves into the next scene. I absolutely love that. I don't have a physical Stream Deck, but the concepts of what you went through definitely do apply to what I use in my vMix setup as well. So definitely those concepts are cross platform and cross, I don't know what you call these Stream Deck automation techniques.
I would say automation. I noticed that you did drop a couple questions in here too, Kevin. So if you guys, I'm gonna just start up at the top. I've gone through quickly and start all the questions so we can kind of hit those. So Anna, first of all, yay! Anna is here. So Anna says, I use StreamYard and I love the easy use. I wonder if adding that would complicate things. Is it smart to start with the small one or go straight with the bigger one? Ugh, that's a tough question. So I don't ever want to like tell anybody they need to spend more money than they have to. So here's what I would suggest. I mean, I'm going to be brutally honest here. if you have a device like a spare phone or a tablet lying around, start with the app. Download the app, the mobile Stream Deck, and see if you would really benefit from using it in your show flow and in your workflow. So start there. And then if you're just like, oh, yes, I like the ease of having these visual buttons, then move into getting either the 6, the 15, or the 32. I will tell you this. My husband has the 6, but he literally only uses it to control like Discord and D&D type things. I had a 15, I upgraded to the 32. But you can also create folders. So if you're okay with going like a couple levels deep, the number of buttons is kind of limitless. So you could create a folder called lighting, which I have on my Stream Deck. So if you look here, here's a folder called lighting. So when I open that folder, it takes me to being able to control the percentage and the color temperature of my 3 front lights. And then when I'm done, I just hit this button and it takes me back to this screen. So one button actually turns into 6 on another screen. So hopefully that, Anna, answers your question there. Kevin, a couple of the questions that you asked, are most of the plugins free? So the plugins like to install for OBS and Zoom and the control center and things, those plugins are free because they are built right into the store. I have never had to purchase a single plugin, and I've looked at that store a lot. So I have not found any that you have to pay for. I can't say with 100% certainty that you'll never find one that you have to pay for, but I do believe Elgato makes them free.
I'm just wondering, some of the other software that you do have to purchase, like Photoshop or something like that, if they have plugins for that, would you also need to purchase those plugins for other paid third-party software?
So if you think about like when I mentioned, having a profile set up for my like Premiere Pro and my Final Cut, I downloaded an icon pack that specifically had already created keys for those programs. And so when you use something like that and you create a profile, you have to do some of the work initially to set that profile up. So it's not all as easy as I kind of demonstrated there. Those are some of the like out of the box, ready-made kind of things that you can do. So for some of these other skills, you're going to need to be a little bit more advanced in understanding, how to create the shortcut and then add it to the profile, which I promise we will do next time. Icon packs. Most of the icon packs that I use are free. The use of the key creator in Elgato is 100% free if you want to create your own. There are some really cool like RGB animated ones that I downloaded that I paid like $5 for. And there were literally like 768 icons in the pack. But that's just because you guys know I'm just extra and you don't need them. You certainly do not need them. Another excellent question, Kevin. Is there a maximum number of profiles? I have not reached it if there is one. And the nice thing is that when you go into the software, if you end up with a situation where you don't need a a profile anymore, when you go into your settings over here, you can literally down at the bottom, there's a plus and a minus. So if I don't want this anymore, I can just hit the minus sign and it would delete that profile. And look at how quickly I'm switching between scenes and cameras just with the push of a button on my Stream Deck. It's amazing. I think there's 2 more questions here. So the first is creating your own button. Can you create on all models of Stream Deck? yes, I do believe that you can add those to any of the physical Stream Decks, the 6, the 15, or the 32, because I have personally done that. I don't know about the mobile app because I've never used that. And let's see, can you use Stream Deck with other virtual assistants who shall not be named? You have me at a loss. I'm not 100% sure what virtual assistant you're thinking of specifically.
The one that starts with an A and the one that starts with a G. Like, can you actually program your button to? Mainly, I'm thinking about like turning lights on if they're not Elgato systems. If they're actually G,
Yep.
the G kind.
So I do have a voice assistant in my studio as well. But yes, that is an advanced feature. It is called If This, Then That. And you can add that, and it will literally control any smart device, complete home automation, studio automation at the touch of a button. So it looks like that is all of the questions. And I don't think there's anything else lingering from my end, which means if you are interested in seeing more of the gear that I use here in the DSpence geekdom, be sure to check out my studio gear and gadget video. It was episode 21, titled Studio Gear, My Favorite Gadgets and Gear. That sounds appropriate. We published that on December 11th, and I am going to go ahead and drop the link for that. Oh no, I don't have YouTube open. I will drop the link for that in YouTube while these gentlemen take us home for the night. Kevin.
So if you enjoy this content and are finding it useful, we would love it if you would like and subscribe. And sharing our content is also a great way of spreading the love. Also, make sure you visit our website for information on all the ways that you can connect with us. And that is, as you can see on the side, linktree/content creators connect. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, drop down in the comments and let us know what kind of content you would like to see in future episodes.
My friends, thank you for joining Content Creators Connect, aka C3 tonight, as Dori gave us a great breakdown of Stream Deck basics. She promises more to come in the future, I'm sure. We will return next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I will be showing you how to create 30 social media posts in less than 10 minutes. Super excited to share that with you. We will be multicasting live to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So be sure to join us next week. Until then, we urge you to identify and lean into your 3 C's. Start today creating unique content that builds connections and breaks down those barriers. See you next week. Peace.
See ya.